I found a phone in my house that doesn't belong to anyone, and at first I thought it was just something old lying around, maybe my dad's or something forgotten in a drawer. But the weird part is no one in my family recognized it, not my parents, not my sister. And the moment I turned it on, it didn't ask for a password. It just opened straight to a notes app with one line written at the top that made my chest tight. If you're reading this, it means you still don't remember. I laughed at first because it felt like some kind of prank, but then I noticed something that didn't make sense. The date on the phone wasn't today's date. It was 3 weeks ahead, like it was showing the future. And when I checked the messages, there was only one contact saved, no name, just a number. And the last message sent from that number to the phone said, "You weren't supposed to find it this early." I didn't reply right away because I thought maybe someone was messing with me. But then another message came in, "Check your left wrist." And that's when my stomach dropped because I actually had a small cut there that I didn't remember getting, like it had just appeared recently. And suddenly this didn't feel like a joke anymore. I typed back asking who this was, and the reply came instantly, "You, just not yet." And I felt this weird mix of confusion and fear because it didn't make any sense. But at the same time, it felt too specific to ignore. So I went back to the notes app and scrolled down, and there were more entries, all written like reminders. Things like, "Don't trust what they tell you about the accident," and "You agreed to forget for a reason." And I just sat there staring at the screen trying to remember what accident they were talking about. Because as far as I knew, nothing like that had happened. That night, I couldn't sleep. So I went back to the phone and opened the gallery. And that's where things got worse. There were photos of places I recognized but didn't remember going to. Pictures of me standing somewhere I had no memory of being. And even one photo of me talking to someone whose face was blurred out like it had been intentionally hidden. And on the back of that image in the notes, it just said, "This is the last time you saw him." The next day, I asked my parents casually if anything had happened recently. Any accident, anything I might not remember. And they immediately said no, too quickly, like they didn't even think about it. And that reaction stuck with me because it felt rehearsed, not real. I went back to the phone again and saw another new message waiting. "They won't tell you. They promised." And that's when everything started connecting in a way I didn't want it to. Because if this was fake, it was way too detailed. And if it was real, then it meant I was missing something big about my own life. I kept digging through the phone and found one last note at the bottom, longer than the others. And it said, "You made this choice. You asked to forget everything about that night because you said you couldn't live with it. But if you're reading this, it means something went wrong, and you need to remember before it happens again." I didn't know what it was, but the fear I felt in that moment was real, not because of the phone itself, but because of the idea that I might have erased something from my own memory on purpose, something so bad that I chose to forget it completely. And now it was coming back piece by piece. The last message came a few minutes later, and it was the one that made me stop breathing for a second. It said, "You have 3 days before you make the same mistake again." And for the first time, I wasn't trying to figure out if this was real or not. I was trying to figure out what I had done, because the scariest part wasn't that the phone knew my name. It was that it knew something about me that I didn't, something I had tried to erase. And now it was coming back whether I was ready or not.